Mary Lennon, ladies and gentlemen. At age 29, Mary Lennon, in the spring of 1996, was a bride-to-be. Like all the brides-to-be before her, and all the brides-to-be that would follow, Mary Lennon had a dream. The dream was simple, common, and oh so familiar. The dream was that Mary Lennon wanted to look beautiful on her wedding day. Mary Lennon wanted to look beautiful in her wedding gown. Mary Lennon, for her sake, for the sake of her fiancé, Tom Caruso, the man that she loved, the man that she would marry, for the sake of her parents who are here with us today, her other family members, and for the many friends that would gather with her and Tom in October of 1996 to watch her walk down an aisle, she wished quite simply to be a beautiful bride. What this case is about is how the dreams and aspirations of the springtime of 1996 for Mary Lennon, dreams filled with anticipation of years of good life, of good health, of children, of interaction with the man she loved, with the family that she loved, with the children she hoped to bring into the world, to be an active and functioning and healthy member of the community as she had been for all of the prior 29 years of her life. How those dreams of spring, 1996. By November 1996, it turned into a literal, deadly nightmare for Mary Lennon and all of the people who loved her. It is a story and a case about what happened to Mary Lennon. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear evidence that Mary Lennon, at that point, age 30, did not get to walk down the aisle of the Catholic Church in Hingham, Massachusetts, in the arms of her parents, Tom and Mary Jo Lennon, as she had planned. But instead, by the fall of 1996, that she was deadly ill with a terrible and rare disease called primary pulmonary hypertension, a disease that literally was taking the breath out of her body and making it impossible for her to do the most routine kinds of functions. Walking up flights of stairs could cause Mary Lennon to faint by the fall of 1996. And instead of walking down that church aisle in the fall of 1996 with her parents, Mary Lennon, on February 22nd, 1997, was dead. And a few days later, on February 25th, 1997, you will hear evidence that she was taken down that church aisle in Hingham, that she was taken down that aisle in a casket, and she was accompanied in death, as she had intended to be as a bride, with her mother and father and her family members walking behind her. What this case is about is how this tragedy occurred, why it occurred, and why it did not have to occur. I will stand before you on one final occasion at the end of this case. I will stand before you to make a closing argument. It will be, in all likelihood, some weeks from now. On that occasion, I will again speak for my colleagues, and most particularly for Mary Lennon. And you will, by that point, we will review the evidence, and I'll review the promises and the representations that we made this morning about what we'd show and how those promises and pledges have, in fact, and will be fulfilled during the trial, how they were fulfilled, so that you can conclude that Mary Lennon's death came from this drug, that American Home Products is responsible not just for negligence, but much more. Dr. Landsberg's behavior is also a cause of this death, and that you then will be called upon to dispense justice in this case. You will also know at the end of the evidence that we gather here for a simple reason: to honor a deathbed promise. A promise that a dying 30-year-old woman got from her parents, Tom and Mary Jo Lennon, in the winter of 1996, at a time when she was hooked up to machinery that was sustaining her life but could not preserve her life. On a deathbed, Mary Lennon asked her parents that if she died, that her death not be in vain, that her life have purpose, and that if it was going to end, as it did so tragically, at age 30, painfully and horribly, that life would be the life that would one day be brought by her parents into this public forum, and so the truth could be told about how this happened and why it didn't have to happen. And at the conclusion of the case, having heard all of the evidence, we will ask you to do justice. And in doing justice, you will honor not only Tom and Mary Jo Lennon, but most importantly, you're going to honor the memory of a young woman, Mary Lennon, who simply wanted to look beautiful on her wedding day. Thank you very much.